Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We are reacting to another law crime video. Let's talk about creeps. The way I define a creep is somebody who don't respect other human beings, have no boundaries, like don't give nobody space, just obsessive, weird, stalker, keep looking at me, stop looking at me please, like that type of man. That's what we're dealing with today. We have a co-worker who shot his other co-worker because she didn't want him. She kept rejecting him, and therefore he had to kill her in a parking lot. These cases are all the same. Dudes who, just can't take no for an answer. Like, who are you to force somebody to like you? I don't understand these cases like this. It's weird that there are so many people like this too. They just can't take rejection, or maybe they've been rejected too many times and they just was fed up. I don't know. Let's get into it, y'all, because the creeps are out and we're ready to react to them.
A man who shot his co-worker to death because she wouldn't go on a date with him is going to prison. We've got to look at the criminal complaint that led to trial as the killer awaits sentencing, and we're going to discuss it all with Dan Murphy, a retired NYPD detective who co-authored a book about violence in the workplace. Welcome to Sidebar.
All because she wouldn't date him.
I'm Jesse Weber.
Gee, that's why you can't talk to everybody at work.
So your job is a place you're supposed to feel safe, right? Hey, by the way, a lot of people, they even meet their best friends at work. They meet their significant others through their job. It can always be a great thing. But there are times when that is not the case. And tragically, for one woman in Minnesota who rejected a coworker's advances, he ended up killing her. 38-year-old Michael Carpenter shot 28-year-old Nicole Hammond, who went by Nikki, in October of 2022 outside the textile company where they both work in St. Cloud, Minnesota. According to the criminal complaint, the shooting happened early in the morning. This was just before 7 a.m. St. Cloud police responded to a 911 call of shots fired, and they found Nikki in the parking lot. She was laying with a puddle of blood around her head. Now, the statement of probable cause refers to Nikki as victim A, so let's go through this real quick. Officers attempted life-saving measures but were unsuccessful. Officers noted that the driver's side door was open. Officers also noted a set of keys and a cell phone were all lying close to victim A. Additionally, officers found a shell casing on the ground close to victim A, so it appears she was hit in this kind of surprise attack right in the morning as she was going to work. An investigation revealed that Nikki was shot through the neck. A witness on scene told police he actually saw Carpenter in the lot. Quote, one employee of the business, Witness X, stated they had pulled into the parking lot and observed a co-worker known as the defendant, Michael Jordan Carpenter, leave his vehicle and walk toward the south end of the parking lot. Witness X states as they got out of their vehicle, they heard a gunshot coming from the south. Witness X observed the defendant jog to his vehicle, which he entered, and then drove away. We're going to go through a lot of this because there's more.
I was looking like that when he first talked about the coworker thing working, because I'm like, a lot of people really still don't feel safe at work, but now you got these people, which it has been going on for a while, unfortunately. You got these co-workers, people who stare you down all day at work. They make things awkward, and it's like you try to be nice and be like, okay, like I just want to communicate with these people. But when it started to get out of hand and they start like, following you, trying to give you stuff, and you don't want them, not knowing what they can do, y'all, is so scary. You literally just have to be like, oh, you can easily just say you got a boyfriend, but dang, sometimes that don't work either. They'll like try to figure out if they're like that obsessive. You really gotta just start, you know what, you gotta, I don't know, it's hard with stalkers. I don't know, it's really scary because you don't know what they're thinking. That's what it is. Jeez, I just can't imagine. She got shot in the neck and trying to get her car away from this dude. I'm just picturing him running after her, trying to talk to her, trying to get her attention over and over after she said no, and she trying to leave, and then he just like pull out a gun. The fact that he had a gun tells you that he was probably planning this because he had a feeling it was going to go this way. But it's just sad that this is like, it's so much going on in this world. I do not got time for this. I do not got time to be like, people looking over their shoulder 24/7, thinking somebody watching them or trying to hurt them. It's just crazy that this is the world we live in. This is literally the world we live in. There's crazy people everywhere. And yes, I said crazy. I know people don't really like that word, but People who obsess and stalk, they're crazy. That's just what it is. I don't get it. Oh, it's scary. I don't ever want a stalker because I feel like the way I'll handle it, I will go to the cops. But the cops don't even do nothing. They can only give you a restraining order, which these people always, they don't listen. They go anyway. See, when it gets to that point, y'all, that's when you get your enough on, the movie Enough. You start learning some self-defense and get some weapons. You might have to, I don't condone it sometimes, but you might have to eventually, when people are not getting it and you think your life is in danger and the police is not going to do anything, you have to take matters into your own hands. That's just what it is. Safety. That's what it's about.
Dan, thanks so much for coming on. Before we even dive into this case specifically, talk to us about the book. How'd you even get involved in writing this specifically?
Good morning, Jesse. Well, the book itself was a collaboration between myself and a colleague, Randy Ferris. We had worked together for years on the assessment and management of cases within our larger organization. Now, people go to work and what they don't realize is their lives follow them, and sometimes their lives in such a way that it becomes uncomfortable for one or the other, as we're seeing vividly played out in this case in Minnesota. We decided to take our experience of working with we had a great deal of great training and thousands of cases of individual persons who were in the...
And that's him? He has like the smallest lips. He looked like he's a creep. What's the point of having the Title IX? Is the Title IX? Y'all know I read it, okay? I was forced to read it, which is definitely necessary. They got it at colleges, they got it at schools, they got them in workplaces. That's what it's for. It's no unwanted touching, and none of that. None of it. And if it is, you report it so they can handle it. But some people like this, they bypass that. They don't care. People really don't even read those, and they really should, because it's really important. If people only knew. But then it's like, these people got their own code of conduct. They get what they want until they get it, and they'll go out killing. And now he's going to jail.
The organization who were being either stalked or harassed by someone externally, had threats posted against them and issued to them by either a romantic interest or a previous spouse, persons who were having difficulties with their supervisor and it was boiling up. All these things happen in workplaces very commonly. We decided to put a book together to help an organization figure out how, from start to finish, to prevent violence within your organization, to respond to it appropriately when it happens, and then to recover from it as an organization should it happen. So we worked for over a year on it, and we think it has served as a guide. We know it has served for a guide for a number of organizations we've consulted with, but we think it gives you a soup to nuts picture, how to hire people, how to terminate people, how to deal with internal issues that come up.
And a lot of people don't. They don't know. A lot of these companies really don't do that. And it's hard to pick people who are good for their job because there's so much that can go on. Look what happened. These people can fake it. They don't care. You got people who go to work and just go home. They don't even talk to people. They're the ones you kind of got to look out for. But, they don't say, hey, they don't do nothing. They just go in and do their work. And I know what they thinking about. Y'all, let me stop pausing it.
There's a wide variety of issues that come up, for example, like OSHA, how to be compliant with OSHA. We really think that our book hits a lot of notes, especially when we see cases like this coming up. It's so common in the workplace.
By the way, in your experience as you talk about this, how common is it that sexual harassment happens all the time in workplaces across the country, but violence? How often does violence happen in a workplace? Something like this kind of case.
It's not uncommon, but it's not every day, I would say. It depends upon the size of the workplace. Working in a larger organization and having the 38,000-foot level that I did, I had access to, and a great deal of these situations were brought up to us. Now, if you're able to properly assess what's going on and manage it properly, you can deflate the issue. You can make it sort of move on its way if you do it right. If you handle it improperly, which is very common, you can see it blow up. And if you don't handle it at all, because either you don't know or you don't know how to, you can see what we had in Minnesota.
And let's talk about this. And I understand you're actually from Minnesota, so I'm sure this kind of case hits a little bit closer.
Well, I live here now, from New York.
Yeah. Well, that's right. Let me rephrase. From New York, but live there now. So I'm sure this case kind of affects you a little bit differently. But I want to go through this, going back to this document. So it says, quote, in searching victim A's phone, officers came across numerous text messages between victim A and the defendant from the night prior, indicating victim A did not want to be touched by the defendant, nor did she want to be manipulated by him. She also informed him to not make things uncomfortable at work. Officers also found a text message from victim A to another person stating that the defendant was mad at her. It goes on to say, in speaking with various co-workers, they indicated that the defendant had made numerous advances toward victim A, but his advances had been repeatedly rebuffed over the course of the past month. Co-workers also described the defendant as having a bad temper. That is very illuminating, Dan, because you now have this idea that it wasn't just a one-off. People saw this.
Mm-hmm. Now, if she
It makes sense with a bad temper, especially when he's trying to pursue her and she's not responding back to that. And that's what's so scary, because you normally see it, but she's, if I read that right, she was texting him to like leave her alone. Maybe I'm like, how did he get her number? Were they in a group chat? It's so much stuff, that could have happened. But dang, a lot of these people need to realize, it's not, who are you to like I said before, who are you to get in other people's business, other people's space, like talk to them if they don't want to talk to you. Like, it's called knowing your limits, and if somebody's not reciprocating those feelings, you get over it. That's what it is. A lot of people don't know that, or they don't care.
She had come to someone in her organization and told them about this, and that person had any real training in threat assessment, they would have looked at the various factors involved and they would have said, this is a very significant risk in this situation right now. One of the most important things to remember about unwanted attention cases, and apparently she didn't want his romantic attention, but she was willing to accept communication with him via text messaging. One of the most important things for victims of these cases to remember is that when you accept communications from someone, even if you think you're telling them, I don't want to date you, I don't want a romantic relationship with you, what you're saying to that person who is laser-like focused on dating you is that I'm willing to communicate with you and the tennis match can continue. And so, of course, it will go on forever. And that person always feels they have a chance. It's like that Jim Carrey moment from Dumb and Dumber. You're saying there's a chance, 1 in a million. And by continuing to communicate, by not blocking him, by not making it definitive, she allowed this to go on, and he kept feeling he had a chance.
But, and I want to be clear, we're not putting any blame on Nikki whatsoever. Obviously, it's just a situation that we, and here's the problem, and I kind of want to go back to this. So Nikki's boss, Rob Dubow, told local media outlet Fox 9 that harassment was never reported to management. Unfortunately, we had no idea. Anytime there's anything that requires our intervention, we step in. But in this case, we had no indication that there was anything awry. So, Dan, it seems to me that this might not have been reported by Nikki. And again, not putting the blame on her, but what do you make? Is there kind of a lesson here that this should have been reported? Because it could be uncomfortable. It could be uncomfortable going to your supervisors, your employer, and telling them what's going on. And particularly if you're dealing with a guy who has a temper, who is angry, but what should we take away from this?
She didn't report it, probably for a variety of reasons only she knows. And again, I think the lessons here are that continuing to communicate with somebody who you don't want to communicate with, continuing to accept and going back and forth with someone can lead them to they won't stop until you stop. So it's like, I equate it to a tennis match. If you don't hit the ball back over the net, the game stops.
Right.
If you keep hitting it back, it will. Now, reporting has to do with your confidence in the organization.
Right.
If the organization doesn't have an infrastructure or a history of showing that they will handle these situations properly, then maybe that confidence isn't there and there's no point. And it might even blow things up. People get very afraid. They get a victim mentality when they're being pursued by someone they don't want to be romantically with. So that may have happened here.
I also think this is the case of she wanted to see if she could stop it herself, which is not good. Definitely, go up to upper management, HR. They can only do so much. They can fire the person and, file complaints. But these people, like this, he had a temper, and I don't know what he was thinking, y'all. But it's definitely not smart to try to do it yourself. You don't know what these people are capable of. I would not be texting that dude. He looks so creepy. I would not have gave him my number. I would not have gotten in the group chat with him. I'm not texting him whatsoever.
With a situation like this, you need to know everything you can about the individual who is the pursuer. So a proper assessment includes looking at any criminal history, any previous complaints of people in that workplace, and determining whether or not this person is in a fairly stable life or not. Some people put all their hope in their life in this one thing, and when that falls apart, they don't have anything to live for. Now, people who have stable lives, who have interests, generally tend not to go to extreme violence because they have a lot to lose. With a situation like this, knowing everything you can about him, someone very smart once said, the single best indicator of future violence is past violence, period. So if this gentleman had a history, a documented history of violence, you could assume that that is one of the ways that he handles his grievances and his frustrations in life. But people with no history have less inclination and tendency to go to extreme violence over a frustration.
I think it's interesting that you had coworkers who said he had a bad temper. They kind of acknowledged that about him. Now, going back to the case here, so the officers, they get a warrant, they search Carpenter's car, they find a 9mm pistol and a loaded magazine in a carrying case in the back seat. And officers also found one round in the chamber, and the style and brand of the bullets matched the shell casing that was found next to Nicky. Officers end up arresting Carpenter at his sister's home. He was still wearing the same clothes that witnesses said that he'd been wearing in the parking lot at the time of the shooting. So now you're seeing the evidence just adding up against him. And when police spoke with Carpenter, he denied shooting Nicky, but he said he was in the parking lot when this happened. The court documents state, quote, the defendant admitted walking toward victim A's car when he heard a gunshot and that he saw a person in a hat attending to victim A. He stated that he saw a lot of blood, was too traumatized, so he turned around and left. Now, he didn't render aid, go to work, nor did he call 911. The defendant also admitted to officers that he didn't sleep well the night before as he kept waking up due to the text argument he had with victim A. The defendant stated that he was upset about that text conversation. Dan?
I don't need, like, immediately would he not think he was a suspect? You're going up here saying you saw a person with a hat run away, but you couldn't sleep because you had an argument with her and you kept thinking about it. When somebody here, you had an argument with the victim before they died, like, you're immediately the suspect, even though they knew it was him. It's like, come on. And then come on.
Well, I think the evidence against him from a perspective of a detective investigating and a prosecutor is overwhelming. The statement is laughable. It's not uncommon for people to create a third fictitious person that did it. O.J. Simpson did that. Everybody does that. But this individual, under pressure, when being
he never found the killer on the golf course?
You know, I have jokingly said on my podcast that I'm going to search the golf courses of America now that OJ has passed on, because I believe that work is important and needs to be done. In this case, you know, all the evidence has come together quite nicely against him, so there really isn't much of a defense. I think he was found guilty in the court, and rightly so, it seems, based upon the evidence. But people under pressure like that will make ridiculous statements. It is unreasonable or unrealistic to believe that somebody who allegedly cares about somebody would watch them get shot, not render aid, not call 911. Nothing about that makes any sense. And if he was close, and if there was stippling and it was a close contact gunshot wound, then he would have blood on himself, and his clothes would show that. Not knowing the rest of the evidence in the case, everything about this screams that he did it.
Here's what's really interesting about the prosecution of this case. The state's Attorney General, Keith Ellison, actually stepped in to help Benton County with this prosecution because there's a Minnesota statute that says, upon request of the county attorney, the Attorney General shall appear in court in such criminal cases as the Attorney General deems proper. And on Friday, a jury found Carpenter guilty of first-degree premeditated murder and second-degree intentional murder. After the verdict, Attorney General Ellison said, I accepted this case because under the law, it is my job to assist our county attorneys when they ask for help. Minnesotans in every corner of our state deserve equal justice, and my office is here to help provide it. When a prosecutor asks for my help, I will seek justice for victims and prosecute offenders to the fullest extent of the law. Minnesota first-degree premeditated murder carries a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole, and Carpenter's sentencing is scheduled for September 20th.
At the end there, he says something about relationship violence, like it could be crazy that they weren't in a relationship. I know he's not saying that, but, you know, it do be relationships at work that do end up like that too. It's sad she had to lose her life like that. It's like, you know, another reason she probably didn't say anything because she didn't think he would take it that far. Like, nobody thinks they would, like, get murdered at work by somebody that's stalking them that won't leave them alone. I would think he's possible. And I would think it's possible for him to do it if he won't leave me alone. I'm like, okay, if he's not doing all this, I feel like he might do something else. Then I'll go up to management. Then I'll call the cops. Then I take stuff in my own hands. It's like, I wonder what he said right before that. Or if he said he tried to pursue her one more time and then just shot her. Most likely that's what they believe. Because it's like, what were you going to do? Now, the thing is, with people like this, I be thinking, what is your goal? What is your outcome? You can pursue them so much, and then when they start to get creeped out, that's when it's gone. It's officially no turning back. They don't want you. They will never will. Leave it alone. Stop pursuing them, because now it's getting creepy. Even if you force them to be with you, now you got a hostage situation because they don't want you. That's just what it is. You could be nice to these dudes all day long, but then when you're talking nice to them, they think it's so sweet, and now they want you more. It's a lose-lose with these people, y'all. And it's crazy that there's so many. I have so many on this list to talk about like this, y'all. You would be amazed by the list I got of just like these crimes. And it's like, I saw this the other day and I was like, once again, I said I talk about them on this channel a lot, but they all are like similar, but they're also all different. This dude he already had her number, so he was texting her. A lot of people don't even have that. And the more she kept texting him, the happier he got. The more she kept rejecting him, the madder he got. So it was really like no balance in this, and he just exploded and just wanted her dead after she kept refusing to date him. I just don't understand the point of that. Why would you force somebody to try to date you? What is the outcome? Y'all are not going to be together. That's long gone after that. Once the creepiness come in, I don't think men understand. When women get creeped out, they get creeped out. They're not going to want you no more. They don't want to look at you, they're going to delete your number, okay? You keep theirs if they give it to you, but they're going to delete yours. It's also why you give people fake numbers, y'all, because you got stuff like this that happens and they won't stop texting you, won't leave you alone. Now, people, when you work with these people, that's worse because you got to see them every day. Now, that's why you also go to management so they can move you away from these people. That's what you got that for, because I would not want to work there and see his face every day, because then I'll start getting fed up. Then when a restraining order will work and I have to go up to management and then he's still looking at me, I'll have to eventually take matters into my own hands. Like, I'm not playing. Like, I don't play about that. That stuff is so creepy, so scary. Like, stop looking at me. I don't know. That's so creepy. And I would try, obviously, I wouldn't be rude about it. I'm not a rude person. I would just be like, oh, I'm not like that into you. I can't even be his friend. I'm not finna be your friend. I'm not. Even like, cause if you're stalking me, I don't want to talk to you. So like, when these people do this, they burn every bridge. You could have just been her friend from the beginning, and if she wasn't creeped out by you, she maybe would have became your friend too. But obviously, she wasn't interested. So people, these men need to start taking hints. Now, mind you, women do that too, but we're not talking about women now. I'm talking about this case only. Men, learn the signs, read the room. If women are not into you, move on. There's a lot of people out here. There's somebody for everybody. People really need to start like realizing that there are so many people in this world. Stop being focused on one person who do not want you. That's just what it is. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. What do you guys think? The creeps are out here, and I'm not talking about Love and Hip Hop. I don't watch it no more, but you know when it was about the Creep Squad, that wasn't cute. I don't even know what, God, why do people even put creep in their name? That was not cute, not funny, nothing. That's gross, because these are creeps, and they were creeps too, because they, Love and Hip Hop ratchet. But look, be safe out there, y'all. Just mind your business at work, okay? Don't pursue the people if they're trying to talk to you if you don't want to talk to them at that, okay? Don't be rude about it if they're approaching you. Just go to corporate, go call HR. That's their job to handle this, to move these people. If that don't work, you go to the police. I would go to the police anyway. And all you could do is get a restraining order. If you see them again, that's when you start taking some self-defense, get some weapons, and trying to protect yourself. You got to take matters into your own hands. That's all it is. You're not going to go to jail. It's going to be defense. That's all it is, because these people won't stop. Also, I don't think they mention it a lot, but document it. Document stuff. You need to document everything. Sightings, time, frames, pictures if you see them. Document everything. Also, get a lot of cameras. Get cameras in your cars, around your car. I have one in the front and in the back of our car. So you need to do that. Get cameras around your house. Just be safe, y'all. That's all it is, because you got people like this that really don't take no for an answer. And sometimes you really do have to take matters into your own hands. So on that note, I will let you guys go. Be safe out there, ladies. Bye.